I'll tell you my biggest challenge. I feel like it's a dating service where people just ghost you because like I
Nice.
have these great conversations and I'm talking to the marketing manager and she is 100% in and we're going forward and we're doing this. And all I got to do is talk to finance. All right, welcome back to another episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E?
Good. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. NHL playoffs are here, so I'm excited. Got a couple home games at the Bell Center. Don't know what's going to happen after the first round, but I mean, it's tough when you come in as the 8th seed and you have to play the number 1 team,
Which is, who are we playing?
Washington.
Washington.
But I've been there before, and I've seen us be the 8th seed and upset the first place team. So you never know. But it's nice to definitely get a couple extra games in. City's excited, the fans are excited. It makes for some great atmosphere shots. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Demi Dove. All good news.
That's it. For those of you who don't follow hockey, we got a rookie who came in last week, and in his first 2 shifts, he had an assist and a goal, and it was pretty exciting. So now we'll see what he does in the playoffs. But it's been fun working for the team this year. Nobody was really expecting that much from us. They thought maybe we might have a chance, but it was very slim. And we were 19 points out of a playoff spot at one point, and then boom, we're in. So we'll take it. It's going to be definitely exciting, and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
What about you? What have you been working on? Anything interesting lately?
Well, a couple of Habs games, but still no. I haven't got the call for the playoffs yet. I figured everybody's gonna. I'm more of a replacement. I'm on the replacement list, so I doubt people will miss out. So I don't think I'll get the call for that. I do have. I have the magnetic card now, so I could always sneak in and just maybe
Have
hang
you
out.
have you in as my assistant? You know, you can come sit beside me, keep
Exactly.
my chair warm, like the old days when you used to come down and sit beside me in the playoffs.
Exactly. I'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But no. Otherwise, just doing my YouTube thing and having fun doing it. Trying to plan a few videos for the summer, things like that.
Actually, it's an exciting time right now. So we're based in Montreal. We have the playoffs. CFL isn't too far away. CF Montreal, the MLS team, they're back up and running. And now there's this new women's league, pro women's league, and they have the team, the Rose,
Yeah.
they're starting. And we have the PWHL playoffs. So it's like there all of a sudden is a lot of sports in Montreal right now that sports videographers can go out and film. So it kind of leads to more jobs. And it kind of ties into what our topic is today. And our topic is something that we get asked. You get asked on YouTube. People ask us on our podcast is, can you make a full-time income as a sports videographer? Now, there's different ways to go about it. Obviously, the easiest way is to get hired by a team and work for a team full-time. But it's not that easy to do that. And there are some things that hold you back and some setbacks in that too. But yeah, that's what we want to talk about today is, first of all, can you make a full-time salary being a sports videographer, and how do you go about that?
Well, I think first of all, you should know what type of person you are. Like, are you more inclined to be freelancing or just having, like you said, like a full-time job for a team or a league or something like that? Because freelancing is not for everybody. A lot of people just can't live with the stress of especially at the beginning when you don't have that many clients and your prices are probably not super high as well because you don't have the experience to demand like a high price for your videos. So it is hard to not know when the next paycheck is coming, if you'll have enough clients throughout the year to pay for all your expenses, and what the next 5 to 10 years of your life look like financially. So if that lifestyle is not for you, then you should probably focus on trying to get hired by a team and sort of make moves accordingly. So that for me would be my first sort of thing. Decide what's my what's my go-to. Like for me, obviously, I'm more of a freelance type of person. I love the freedom that comes with it, and freedom in many shapes. You know, the schedule, obviously, also the idea that I can choose a bit what I'm interested in, what I want to work in. If I'm tired of doing a certain type of videos, I can just move away from that type of client, and go towards a different type of clients. And saying that they still need to hire me, but it is a decision at the end of the day. Like it was a decision to focus on sports. I could have done weddings. I could have done anything else. So that's a freedom that to me is very important. And it's also a way it's easy for you to decide your worth. Like if you decide that you're worth X, then you are. And if you decide 2 years later, then you're worth more than you are. It doesn't mean that people are going to pay for it, but it it might happen. And if you're good and you do it well, it will happen. So in that sense, it's a lot easier to get a promotion or a raise than it is when you're working for an organization and there's a lot of other people. So it's all comparable and seniority and all these things that come into play. So yeah, just figure out on which side you you fit the best, and go from there. And then yeah, we're going to discuss about the ways to get there in both camps. But that would be my first the first thing I would try to figure out.
I think you had a good point when you said it depends on the person you are, because becoming a freelancer, it's a mindset. I worked for a long time with the Canadians, a full-time employee with Evenco, and you're used to that paycheck. Every second week or twice a month or whatever your system is, you get used to that paycheck. And then when you go freelance, it's not like that. You're paid per video, you're paid per contract, or you're paid, on a retainer basis. There's different ways to be paid, but it's hard getting away from that paycheck. The thing that I struggled with was, yes, there's stress of where's the next paycheck coming in, or where that money is coming in, because you're so used to that being on that routine. The second you get off that mindset and out of that routine, it's freeing, because when you're working full time for somebody, there's a cap. Say your salary is, I don't know, $75,000 a year. That's your salary. You're not getting more. Where when you're freelance or doing a video production agency that eventually you hopefully grow into, there is no cap. You could do that in a month if you really, really put your mind to it and hired a crew and all that. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but there is no limit. There is no cap. It's all about how much you put yourself into it. But it's scary, man. And I had a really, really hard time with it at first, because you'll have these great conversations with people and they need your video or they need your service, and you think it's a done deal. But until the money is in your account, nothing is a done deal. And it's hard to trust people, because you feel like you build good relationships, but sometimes for some reason they have budget restraints or time restraints, and the project falls through. So there are setbacks, and it is all part of the learning curve, and it's something that I struggled with, and I had to learn how to sell myself. And I just tried to sell myself as, I'm solving this problem. I'm not selling a video, I'm solving a problem. My video is what solves that problem. But it's a whole mindset thing to get into. And anyway, that's what today is at. We're going to talk about different things, but it's really, really hard to go from a full-time paycheck to getting paid. You can get paid on a random Wednesday or the first of the month. It depends on how you make your contracts.
And do you think if you're, let's say, you're a very good sports videographer, you're very talented enough to be hired by any sort of good clients or good team or whatever. So do you think you'd be making more money ultimately over the course of your career working full time for a professional team, or just freelancing? Do you think that one is more lucrative than the other?
I'm going to say freelancing, only because, listen, working for a professional sports team in the past, I was there for a long time, so I was taken care of very well. But when new people come in, you start off at a lower salary and you have to work your way up. And a lot of these pro teams, they feel like, hey, everybody wants to be here. So this is what we're offering to start, and people want to work here. So if you don't want to do it for this price, we'll get someone else. When you're a freelancer and you have clients that trust you, yes, your prices might be high, but they know what they're getting for you. They're not just paying for the video, they're paying for the experience of working with you, the professionalism that you bring to the job also. So they know if they have a shoot with me that I have all the top equipment, we have scripts, we have ideas, we're not wasting time, we have teleprompters, we have everything ready to go to make this video journey as smooth as possible. Where when you're working for a pro sports team, they call the shots. A lot of times you are just there to execute.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's hard. It's harder to get a raise because it's a whole process to try to ask for a raise, and it's probably not going to be by much. And about where, as a freelance, if you decide that you're 30% more expensive than the year before, then boom, it's done. It's not a conversation. It might be a conversation with your recurring clients, but with everybody else, it is what it is.
But there are some great perks when you work for a team. Like you're not worried about buying equipment. Like, you don't have to
Yeah,
go.
that's true. You have a lot less expenses. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not buying cameras, you're not buying lenses, you're not buying SD cards. Something breaks, we have a budget for that. You're not stressed about that. You're not looking for projects to edit. There's an ever ending pit of projects. There's always something you can work on. When you're freelance, like there's times where you finish your project and you don't know where your next project is coming if you did not plan ahead properly.
Well, also, it comes to the fact that if you're working full time, then it's just you're purely a sports videographer from from the day you punch in to the minute you punch out, and after that you're free. You do whatever you want. Your personal life is 100% personal time. Where if you're freelancing, you're a sports videographer, but you're also a business manager. You're also a marketing person. Like, you're doing a lot of other things to support your sports videography. And when you punch out, in air quotes, you're still kind of working. A lot of the times you're still doing emails, you're still doing other side things. You're thinking about the business. You're thinking about organizing your next day so that you maximize your time. So yeah, there are cons to being freelancing, especially if you don't like, having to deal with clients or trying to put yourself out there and doing all these other things that are part of the business, but not part of sports videography specifically.
You have to factor in those things while you're billing the client. So meetings. So in my schedule, I'll have 2 meetings with them to discuss the projects and all that. That's billed. Even though I say, oh, this video is, I don't know, say a $2,000 video. Well, really, it's a $1,500 video, but the rest of the fees are for emails, phone calls, meetings. You have to value your time. And a lot of freelancers forget that. They just think of, oh, it's $1,500 to produce this video. No, add in an extra 20% for all the logistical stuff that you're going to have to do on the side, because guess what? There's going to be revisions. There's going to be some titling. There's going to be a follow-up email. You're going to have to upload it to your Google Drive or WeTransfer. All these things take time. And then guess what? You're going to send the video and you're going to think it's done, and they're going to call you and there's like, oh, so-and-so from sponsorship wants to add this logo in. And it's not really a big change, but it's still your time. So factor in the unknowns right away and it will help you. Now, it's not something that you think of on day one. It's something that you realize over time. And the more you get better at freelancing, the more contracts you get freelancing, the more you're going to pick up on this, because there's a huge, huge learning curve.
So let's say I'm going to put you on the spot here because you're definitely the business person between the two of us. Let's say you're a sports videographer who started just filming, at football games. You get different players just hiring you just to film them and putting like a reel together afterwards. Maybe you're getting to a point where you're making enough contacts, you're networking enough that maybe 2 or 3 or 4 players in one game are hiring you so that they can put their money together, and you're producing all these videos for all these people. So you are popular, but you're dealing with individuals, so it's probably not huge amounts of money and it's probably a lot of work because now you have to produce a video for each of them. Which is how a lot of sports videographers these days start. How do you go from that to like working with a brand or a team or a school? Like, what's the advice to basically get better clients? You know what I mean?
So I would definitely use all the footage that I did ahead of time to put together a demo reel and try and show them the different services that I offer and the professional quality of my video work. Now for brand deals or for approaching people, what I want to do is show them what they're missing and what we can achieve out of it. And I'm going to try and make like a content package for them to fill those gaps. So say for instance, you're working with a high school football team and they have Under Armour as a sponsor. You know they're getting money from Under Armour and they need social media content also, right? So what you can do is you could do those player profile videos, but you tell Under Armour, I'll make sure that your logo is seen. I will make sure that when we have close-up shots, we see it on the jersey, people know that this is an Under Armour school. And that way you can get the best of both worlds. You could show the brand, you can maybe get a little money from the brand deal, and you're also supplying them with enough content for their socials because they want to be seen. People, the most valuable asset right now in the world is attention. And it's weird because everybody wants attention. Whether you're an influencer, a video editor, a podcaster, it's all about, can I capture people's attention? So show them that, hey, we can capture people's attention and get eyes on your brand, eyes on your school, eyes on your players. Now it's not that easy because you're going to want different types of content. You're not going to want to produce the same video time and time again. So you can think of creative ways to pitch it. So it's like, you can have game recaps, you can have player profiles, you can have player questions even, sponsored by Under Armour, for example. There's different ways that you can go about it. You just have to figure out what they need. So the first thing I would do is when I reach out to them, I'm trying to get them to book a meeting with me where I can have Zoom, Teams, in person. And that first meeting, I just want to listen to them. I'm not going to pitch everything I could do. I have to figure out what it is that they need and what I can bring value to.
And I'd say also like in terms of like getting better clients, I think obviously companies and schools and stuff, it's they're better clients because they have budgets dedicated to these things, where individuals, it's hard because it's their personal money that they're spending on videos. So it's not like they're gonna put you on a retainer and things like that, unless it's very someone that has a lot of money and their kid is trying to get to the big leagues and they want to have like all the content possible for videos for recruiting purposes and things like that. But most likely, if you want a client, because the ultimate goal is to get a client that's going to hire you regularly, not just a one-off here and there, not just call you 2 days before a game and say, can you come shoot on Saturday? Like, you want someone that's going to hire you for like, oh, we want you to come to every home game and film for us, or we want you to put like game recaps every week. You want something so that way that your freelancing provides a bit of the security that you're missing from the full-time job. If you have clients that guarantee you work for 6 months or a year or something like that, then you have, maybe they're not paying enough a year to cover all your life, your earnings that you need to make in 1 year. But at least you have like a 30 grand guaranteed or a 40 grand guaranteed or something like that. And then and you add on the other clients, then it adds up to a full-time wage. So ultimately, those are the types of clients that you want to target. The ones that you can see would be inclined to at least listen to a conversation about working together long-term. And if you can get 2, 3, 4, 5 clients like that, then you're set and everything else is just gravy.
The trick is to have clients. There is no maximum amount of people you can work with. And you don't have to charge everyone the same. If you really want to work with somebody and they only need a small amount of video done, then you can lower your rate to get your foot in the door. The difference between having a full-time job with a pro team is you have one client who constantly needs you. Yes, it's a salary. Yes, you're set financially. but that's where it ends. You're there to film what they want. Maybe they'll bring you in the creative process, maybe they won't. When you're a freelance, you can have multiple clients and you can do multiple different kinds of videos because every client is different. And the value in having multiple clients is if you lose one, it's not the end of the world. You can replace it with another one, or maybe you could replace it with two. And it's crazy. But if you have 5 clients and you have them on, say, a $2,000 retainer per month, that is $10,000 a month you're making, and you're doing something you love. So it's really tricky because if you work for a pro sports team, they are not going to pay you that as an entry level sports videographer. They're not going to pay you the 10 grand a month, and you're not going to have any creative responsibilities. You're just there to execute 9 out of 10 times. I mean, obviously every team is different. Every sports team is different. And eventually you gain their trust and they will, start listening to you. But when you first come in, it's really, really tough. But when you're going out freelance and you start with a new client, they trust your creativity off the bat because that's why they're hiring you. You are filling that creative void for them. So look at it like that. Like you can expand. And when I said before that there is no limit, that's how there is no limit. What if I took those 5 clients and I got them a 3-month retainer? And that's all of a sudden that's $15,000, $3,000 a retainer a month. Then that's $15,000. Or if I went to 5, then it's $25,000 a month. I know it sounds crazy because it's a lot, and it's the more you add to these retainer packages and the more you charge them, the more work it is. So you'd have to expand eventually and maybe get an assistant editor or a second shooter, stuff like that. But that comes with growing. But think of it as that's how there is no limit. And it's not like a full-time job where if you lose your job, you lose your income. No, if you lose a client, you just replace that client. But it's hard to get into that mindset. It really is. Like I mentioned before, I struggled with it. It was really tough. I used to take it so personally if I worked on a project with clients and then they didn't re-sign or they didn't see the value in video after. And it's kind of like an ego check. But at the end of the day, don't worry, because when one client leaves, you will find another.
I want to kind of ask you the same question, but because I said we were going to also talk about people who want a full-time job in the team or a league. So like, what do you think would be more impressive for a team? Like basically, how do you get hired? Like, well, how do you stand out? How do you get the attention of a professional sports organization looking for a full-time videographer?
So to get into pro sports, I mean, if you listen to this podcast, everyone seems to have a very similar story. They were passionate about videography. They went out, they donated their time, they put together a kick-ass demo reel. They learned how to do everything A to Z, shoot, edit, After Effects, everything that you think of, you have to kind of put in that demo reel and wow them. You're not going to have to do all that once you get the full-time job, but you need to attract them to give you that full-time job. You have to show that team like, hey, I'm special. It's pro sports. So just like there's cuts on a pro sports teams, it's the same thing. If you and I go and apply for the same job, okay, they're going to look at our skills, they're going to look at our edits, but then it's how you sell yourself. You got to show up to that interview. You have to be professional. You have to show them, like, don't be a fanboy. We're like, oh, I'm the biggest Habs fan in the world and almost might. No, tell them why you're there. I love creating content. I think I can nail this content. We're going to mic up a player and show them the value you bring. Don't show them that you're a fan, because it's work. And you're going to be around pro players all the time. You have to make sure you're professional. And that's what they're looking at. And it's sad, but nowadays they'll go back, they'll check your social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram. Try to make sure that's pretty clean before you apply for one of these pro jobs. You don't want to be like, oh, the Habs suck this year or this and that. You don't want any of that stuff on your thing, because it will come up. It will come up in the interview. I guarantee you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think also, like, you have to stand out because ultimately, let's say you live in Los Angeles and you're trying to, like, the Lakers have an opening, or you're in Dallas and the Cowboys. Can you imagine how many people are applying for that job? And I'm talking how many, like, super talented videographers are applying for that job. So, like, how do you stand out? Like, at some point, talent, like, you obviously need to have it, but everybody else who's, the top 30, 50 picks will be just as talented as you are. So how do you stand out at that point? And for me, it's originality. Like you have to come up with something that is different, that because ultimately if you have like an amazing demo reel that shows that you're talented, that you're going to grab their attention, that they'll call you for an interview, but ultimately you're not doing anything that everybody that's already on the roster isn't capable of doing already. But if you come up with a concept or something that just looks different, if you like integrate 3D in a way that they didn't expect, or if you just have like a video concept that they've never seen before, or whatever it can be, um, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we've never done this and we have no one on our team that can do this. So how cool would that be to have someone on the team that could bring that new way of thinking and a new concept of video or a new way of editing that we've never done before. And so all of a sudden you go from being one of 50 to, the main option. So that's something to think about if you're trying to hit to try to get one of those very very rare jobs. And also I think like it's like, I don't know, we working for those teams, you're part of a team. And yeah, sorry, where I was going with that was that like those teams have affiliate teams. So sometimes, because I met someone who was working for the Brooklyn Nets, and I think originally he got hired by the Liberty, I think is the name of the women's to the WNBA team that plays in New York as well. So it's like basically by applying and getting a job in the WNBA, he was able to work, not necessarily work his way up, but like they needed help with the NBA team, and he was available and he was there already. And so that was sort of an easy transition. So that's also something that like if your goal is to work in the NBA, and there's the G League team is sort of they're all affiliated somehow, or the WNBA team, like there's ways that might take a couple more years than you expected, but it's a way to get there. You know what I mean? And you're meeting all these people as well. You're working with them, you're creating connections, and that way you eventually get where you want it to be. Or at the very least, you get experience in the WNBA, and eventually, when the role in the NBA opens up somewhere, you're added to your experience and your resume.
Well, you know what's crazy about like say like the major leagues and the minor teams is you're going to be doing the same work. You're going to be doing the same kind of
Yeah,
stuff. It's just the only
exactly.
difference is the players are considered pro, like higher level. That's the only
Yeah.
difference, but the job itself is the same. So
And with the
my crew,
example that I was just talking
yeah.
about, there was a lot. It was way more exciting working with the women's because they're making the playoffs. They're a good team. It was where the Nets haven't been relevant for years. So it's there's probably a lot more fun to be working for the WNBA team than the NBA team, really, when you think about it.
And if your goal is to work for a pro team and not do freelance stuff, that's a great way to sell yourself too. Like say, hey, I'm interested in this position, but for some reason, if it's not going to work out there, well, tell them I'm interested in starting in the lower position, the G League or whatever, the AHL, and work there and work your way up. The thing is, though, not all teams do that. Not all teams say like, okay, if you work for the AHL team, well, you're going to work for the NHL team after. So you have to keep that communication open. Where I always joke around with our crew, our film crew, because a lot of the guys do the Rocket games also. And I've never done a Laval Rocket game. And they always tease me, oh, how come you're not available? And I always tell them, guys, I'm in the NHL. Why am I going to go to the AHL? I'm an NHL guy. And I always tease them. But it's the same thing. They're filming the same hockey.
Yeah.
There's nothing different between filming the NHL game or the AHL game, except for the building and the players on the ice. The game itself is the same.
No,
And it
that's
leads to
true.
more work. It leads to a lot more work. They're doing a lot more hockey games than I am.
Do you know if it's the same? If the pay is the same, or is it is it league?
That I don't know. That I don't know. I don't ask them. I think it's very similar though. I do think it's very similar or the same, but I'm not 100% sure. But everybody seems to have their own little pay scale, so I don't know. But since we're talking about money, okay, and you talked before about brand deals and that, there's other things that you could go for. Like it doesn't just have to be the team, you know, especially in the United States, you have like universities. You can hit up the schools. You can hit up leagues. You can hit up training facilities that need video, because it's for a training facility, it could be the athletes that come in and out that need video done. And yes, it's not a game highlight and all that. It could be working out. It could be recovery. There's so many different aspects in sports, especially like we always think of the big four, right? NFL, basketball, baseball, all that. But there's training, there's track, there there's tennis. There's so many sports that you can do that you can reach out to. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to a tennis club. Or you had mentioned last game you were working for a soccer camp.
Yeah, that's episode.
Last episode, a soccer camp. There are many ways that you could make it in sports videography that isn't just filming pro sports. Pro sports, everybody thinks is the best. No, it's just that's what we see on TV.
Yeah,
That's what you see on TV all the time. There are way more amateur sports being played every hour of every day than pro sports. And that's where you're going to make money. That's where you're going to make contacts. That's where you're going to be able to express yourself creatively. Because in the
yeah,
big leagues, they're not going to always go for everything that you pitch. Where in the
yeah,
in the minor leagues, you could show people stuff and try stuff. And if it fails, no one really it's not the end of the world. Where if I make a video for the Montreal Canadiens and bombs, everybody sees it. Everybody
yeah.
sees it.
No, it's true. But also, like to build on what you're saying, it's because people also forget that you're not just your only clients are not athletes and people who want to make reels about themselves and stuff. Like, if anything, the easier client to get is a client. Like, what ultimately, what do people want? They want to make money, right? Like, just like you are. So if you can, if you can find a way to make someone's money, they're gonna hire you. Like, if you come to me and say, "Hey, pay me $10 an hour, and I will make you $20 an hour," like I don't know what we'll be doing, but I'm hiring you. So it's kind of the same thing here. So when you talk about like other ways to feel like other type of clients, for example, a sponsor, if you're making videos for them, promote, like when you said, easier example, when you said like venues, like a venue usually rents out the gym, that they need athletes to come in and pay memberships. They need people to rent a gym, rent an ice rink, rent these things. So by promoting the venue, doing like, let's do a series of videos that are promoting our facilities, our gym equipment, all the things that we have that are maybe not available in the other similar venues in the city. We'll do like a few videos like that promoting it, and therefore we'll get more membership, more people coming in and renting our facilities. So you're helping them make more money, so they'll hire you. And it feels weird working for a venue, but ultimately, what are you filming? You're not filming the walls, you're filming people training, your people playing basketball, people swimming, people doing all these things. And then you make a cool edit that's kind of a show reel for that, all those facilities, and you make it fun and you make it look like it's a place to be. And you're filming sports. You are a sports videographer, but you're not necessarily working for a team or an athlete. So there's all these other sort of things that are part of sport. Like, you could do the same thing for a physio or someone that's trying to promote their services that are around the world of sports. And this is what I do basically on YouTube. It's just like my story of my videos is me. It's my job. It's things like that. And sports is really just a backdrop. It's just like something that's in the background, just sort of making sense of what I'm doing in the foreground. So it's the same thing. You can get hired by anyone who works around sports and is trying to promote themselves to make more money. They will hire you, and you will be filming them in and around sporting events. And therefore, you are a sports videographer, and you're most likely going to be making way more money with those people than you are with athletes if you're working with them directly.
Now, while you're working with all these athletes or venues or whatever, there's certain pricing models that we kind of talk about.
Hmm.
You have your flat day rate. My favorite is monthly retainer, right? Because that way I'm not chasing. Or it can have like a multi-video content package. Now, what do you prefer?
Well, you mean as a client
Yeah,
or
like
as a
when you
package deal?
Yeah, like what do you prefer offering people with your services? I reach out to you, I say, "Hey, I need to do some video content and that for my hockey camp this summer."
Yeah, well, yeah, it depends on the type of client. Like if it's an individual, there's so much you can do. But like if it's an organization, I'd like to build for the future. I think you and I had that conversation where like you want to maximize the time that you have and shoot as much as possible so that you have enough content in the bank to then produce like several videos and not just do, oh yeah, right, I'll come film one day and then I'll do that video. And then if they want to hire you again, they have to reinvest in filming and editing. And usually that's kind of a it's the thing that's going to stop them from hiring you again and again, is that like every time they hire you it's a big cost, where if you can build it in a way that, oh yeah, you have like a big week that's happening, like let's film like 3 days, and then you give them like a good price for those 3 days, knowing that now that you've got enough content to then sort of produce all these different videos that you'll make your money back on. And so I like to, if I am working with like an organization where that sort of model makes sense, that's what I'll aim for. Also, especially if it's for social media, I'll definitely, and it's not just a question of me sort of getting more work. It's more about them producing the right content, because typically someone who's not used to making like promotional content, like they're doing in their mind, they're doing one video, and that video is going to promote how good they are, how their facilities are great, how their equipment is top of line, how like if you come with us you'll be like, I don't know, it depends on what the actual thing is, but like they'll try to promote like six things at once. But when you're watching an ad on, whether it's social media or TV, you only remember one thing really, and it's usually the last thing that was said at the end. Everything else looked pretty cool while they were saying it, but 5 seconds later you forgot all about it. So you want that 15, that 20, that even that 45-second video to be about one thing and one thing only. So you're much better, especially for social media content, to produce 4, 5, 6 different short videos that are, each of those videos are individually about one topic. So in the case of a soccer camp, one can be more about fun and how these kids are really enjoying their summer playing soccer with their friends. Another one can be more about the facilities and all the great equipment that they're using. Another one is more about the coaches and how like good they are at their job, and how like the experience that they have and how they communicate with the kids. Another one is more about, how like even players that are higher in age or more technical, like they get a proper training. But each of those topics are individual videos, so that way the message in that video is really getting across. Everybody understands by in during that 20, 30 seconds what that school is about regarding that topic. And also helps you having more content, because on social media, what are you going to do? Post that same, if you only have one video that talks about six things, are you going to be playing that video and posting that video over and over on Instagram and TikTok? Because after 4 days, nobody's watching it anymore. So like, are you going to just post it once a week? Like you're much better to have several videos and then post those once a week. And you have like, at least even if you repost, it's like 2 months later. So it's not as bad. So yeah, from that perspective, I always try to build sort of a package deal where maybe we identify a few different times we're filming, uh, you know, to make sure that we add a bit of variety to the content, and the right sort of variety that we need for all these different video concepts. So maybe we need to shoot different ages, different locations, whatever it is, and then yeah, try to package like the videos, ultimately like the final videos, like okay, we're gonna do 5 of them. There's gonna be one about this, one about that, blah blah, blah, and put it all into one big uh one big bundle of filming and editing, and then we can add on later if need be. But typically that's what I try to do. I try not that I stay away from the just like filming one day and doing one video, but I always propose to go more, think a bit more big picture and long term, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I try and get away from day rate. If someone really wants my day rate, they'll have my day rate. But my day rate's expensive. It's way better to take a package, or I'll bill per project. Say if I have a half day shoot doing interviews, and then I know it's a half day edit. Well, then I'm saying, okay, this project is X amount. Now it's funny because I'm actually in negotiations right now with a hockey camp. And what I did is I did my homework. I looked at, it's a 5-day camp. It's a 1-week camp. And for me, right away, when I look at that, I see the value is I want to be there every day to film. So we have the most amount of content available. Like I know that I filmed every moment, or I filmed all the major things, or all planned out enough that I know I have enough content. Now they don't always see it like that. So I look through this company's socials, and they did about 45 videos last year. So I'm like, perfect. If we film 5 days, I could plan out 60 pieces of content from it. And the way I plan out is stuff that you want right away at the camp. So at the end of every day, there's a day recap video. There's going to be a couple little quick straight up clips of kids, enjoying the moment, maybe a quick little montage of them walking in, and put it to some cool music and stuff like that. So that first week, I'm probably giving them 15 videos, 20 if I'm giving them some raw clips also, right? Then I have another 40 videos later on that I could do for them. So those other videos are to promote any other camp that they want to do, promote next year's camp, to keep them relevant, to keep giving them clips throughout. Now, obviously, when I package something like that, I'm looking at it as they only have one camp right now. This is their marketing for the year. So if I give them 45 to 60 little videos, no more than 30 seconds to a minute max, because there is a lot of editing, a lot of time in it, I can give them a bigger package, but there's a lot of value in that package. Now they usually come back and are like, oh no, that's not in our budget. So you say, no problem. Then we can edit this amount of videos for that. And you tell them the most valuable thing is to make sure you don't miss anything at your camp, because if you come back to me after the camp is done and I was not there on the day that so-and-so showed up or this happened, then we do not have that footage. So you're better off to have that footage in the bank. If you don't want all the videos, it's no problem, because you can always come back to me later on and I can edit that video for you and we can work on a price. So come to them with a plan. And that comes with experience. But like right here, I have, so they want a smaller package. So I have two filming days, 5 filming days I kept, 2 recap videos, 1 full camp recap videos, 2 exercise videos, 10 small reels. So right away, that's still 15 videos for them at a valued price. So now they know, okay, well, I got everything filmed. I'm only getting these videos now. If I need more and we have more of a marketing budget, at least we could do different things. So be the expert and be their guidance, because they don't really know what they want. That's why they're coming to you. Help them out and take pride in that too. Come up with a good plan. And it's not just about money and I'm doing this. No, have it about the outcome. Your goal is for their camp to get bigger and better every year, because people saw your videos. Because guess what? If their camp gets bigger and they get to have a Christmas one or a March break one, that's more work for you. So do the best job you can and really lay out a plan for them and explain to them. No problem. Say my max package was something $15,000, let's say, okay? And they come back and they say our budget's $2,000. Say, no problem. This is what the $15,000 package was. Well, this is what a $2,000 version of that package is. And this is what I'm taking out. And this is why we're taking it out. And explain to them. And then they'll see, because it is scary for some of these people to invest money in video because they don't really see the value in it. They don't know the value in it yet. The only way they're going to know the value is, hey, when next year's camp sells out right away, because you guys pushed proper ads, you pushed these video clips of all these kids having fun and all these kids improving. That's where they're going to see the value. And that's your job as a videographer, is to get them to that next point. Now it's hard, because when I first started video editing, I was editing videos. That's it. I was having fun editing these videos. But now I'm involved in marketing. I'm involved in planning, strategic planning. I'm a video production company now. And that's where the difference between having a full-time and a freelance job kind of shift gears, because you slowly become this problem solver and you're showing these people how to get more clients to their next camp with your videos.
No, that's smart. I like this episode. It's like a marketing 101 with clients.
No, we don't have all the answers. That's just one thing. I mean, sometimes somebody just needs a new video for their website.
Hmm.
And that's maybe a yeah, no problem. Here, give me all your old footage. I'll fill some interviews. That I'll charge them per project or a day rate, depending on what it takes. Every client is different. You have to figure out what that client needs. And that's the challenging part.
And I think the key is like if you're listening or watching this and you're pretty early stage at the moment, like obviously when you have like your first clients, your first projects are going to be super basic. You film something, you edit it, and you give it back. And and ultimately you get, if you have one, two, three clients and you're sort of at that stage, obviously at that point your goal is just to get more clients. But there's a point where you can't get too many clients, like unless you start hiring people to help you. But that's a whole other sort of beast to manage. So the goal shouldn't be past a certain point, shouldn't be getting more clients to make more money. To make more money, you should be thinking, how do I make more money per client? So making more money per client can be either like doing everything you just talked about and what I was talking about before, just finding ways to just make bigger packages and therefore sort of guaranteeing that you're getting more money per project, or just getting better clients. And what I mean better, when I say better, I just mean like more expensive videos and things like that. But like, yeah, if you're already like sort of at your limit of hours and that you're putting into this and you feel like you're not making enough money and you're still trying to get more clients to make more money, this is not going to work. You're going to burn out. It's not going to end well. And especially like a lot of the time people are like that because it's still sort of a side gig for them. So they have their full-time job and they're doing this on the side and they're getting more clients. So they're excited because like, man, if I can get a few more, then maybe I can do this full-time and ditch my day job. But while they're sort of in between those two, they're working from 9 to 5 and then getting home and editing until 2 a.m, spending all their weekends filming, and they don't have a life. So at some point you're much better to find clients that'll be willing to pay you more for maybe the project. The content will change a little bit, but like you'll be making more money per clients or spending less hours, and you'll still be able to make enough money eventually to leave your job and do this full time. And it'll be a lot easier decision if you have bigger clients than if you have like 50 small clients.
Volume versus value, right?
Hmm.
The thing I've noticed by owning my own business is the clients that I charge a lot, who pay a lot, they're easier to work with than the clients who aren't paying a lot. The clients that I'm giving a deal or doing a cheaper rate, they seem to be harder to work with. They always expect more for less. Where the clients who are paying for a lot, they're paying for it because they see the value right away.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm lucky I have a luxury right now of having some of those high value clients. But when you're starting off, you're not going to have that luxury. So you're going to have to figure out who you want to work with and why you want to work with them. And there's no wrong reason to tell a client like, thank you for this project, and move away from them. It's your freelance company or your company. You decide who you work with. Don't just say yes to anyone. Now there are some downfalls though, like to having all this, right? There's some hidden costs. And Ian and I were just talking about some hidden costs before. And the number one hidden cost, gear upgrades, my friend. Gear upgrades.
It's true. Well, it depends where you start, but yeah, if you're starting, you're probably not, you probably don't have all the tools that you wish you had, or you think you do, and then someone calls and said, "Hey, do you do green screen shoots? Because we're having this media day coming up, and thought if you could quote." And you're like, "Oh yeah, that'd be awesome if I could, get a contract for a media day, but I don't have a green screen, I don't have lights, I don't have all these things." And now you're freaking out, like, what should I buy? And it's just a one. So do I buy all these things and then never do it again? Should I rent? Like, yeah, all the the hard decisions of a freelancer.
Well, that's it. And there's always new gear. There's always stuff that you think can add to it. And you know what else I find is a hidden cost that you kind of forget is travel. Add in your gas, your kilometers. Like you don't have to tell them like, hey, I live 45 minutes away. You can maybe some people you can say, okay, it's 70 cents a kilometer, or I don't know what a mile is, but 70 cents a kilometer I usually charge if I go outside of the area of Montreal. If I'm inside Montreal, it's covered. But I've already included that in my bill. But they're hidden costs. Software, Adobe, stop putting up your prices. There, I'm paying for all the software that I'm editing your stuff on. Make sure you include it in your price. Google Drive, if you need to upgrade your storage, include it in your price, because these little things eat away at your revenue. They're useful tools, but you're paying for them and your client is using them. So make sure you do charge a little bit back to your client to cover for that. Your cell phone, your communications, all that kind of stuff, it comes out of your pocket. So make sure that you put a little bit back on every project.
I'm still using my Adobe account from Australia, so I have to like put money. Well, I left money in my Australian bank account before I left, just because I was afraid that I would have to settle a few things. But so I'm using that money to pay every year, because if I try to create a new account in Canada, because you can't transfer, it's like $500 more a year or something like that. And I don't know if it's because they charge differently in different countries, or if it's just because I've been with the Australian one for so long that I have like a, you know, a better price for, you know, because I've been there for so long. And it's just now that if you just come on now, it's more expensive. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but it's such a weird, it's like every time I go to pay, I was like, oh, next year I'll just, you know, I'll start a new account. And I look at the difference in prices. It's like, why would I do that?
Stay in Australia, my friend. Just keep transferring money in that account.
I think next year I'll have to figure out, because I don't think there's much money left in that Australian account. It's like, is it worth transferring money to my Australian account and, you know, paying the fees and all that, and will it still be worth doing that instead of just starting a Canadian account? I don't know. We'll see.
I think that's something that Adobe does have to scale back on.
Yeah, it's insane.
DaVinci Resolve, it's a one-time payment. Final Cut, it's a one-time payment. CapCut is free as long as you still have access to it. AI is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I know Adobe does a lot of different stuff behind the backgrounds that we're paying for, but still you have to figure out a way to bring down the prices. Because even, you know, we're Sony users, right? And Sony cameras are slowly coming down a bit because Canon dropped their prices and everybody competes with everybody. So I'm hoping Adobe gets on the same plan and kind of scales back, because all I've gotten this last year was like, oh, this has gone up, this has gone up. Like Lightroom went up 50%. 50%. Like, that's crazy.
I know, but I think it's just because in some way they have somewhat of a monopoly, in the sense that all the businesses, like all the companies that people you work for full time as a videographer or photographer, everybody's on Adobe. And maybe not because Premiere is the you know, you have to edit on Premiere, but you're most like for sure you're gonna have Photoshop, you're gonna have Lightroom, you like you're gonna have After Effects. So if you're already like buying those three, you might as well just get the Creative Suite and get it over with. Put everybody on Premiere, done. You know what I mean? So just because of that, every company uses Adobe. And if to become professional, you have to be fluent with Adobe, then you might as well start there. So yeah, from there.
Actually, I have a confession to make. I'll make this on this. I have a client who I enjoy working with, who gives me a good contract, and they are heavily invested in Canva. So I had to purchase a year subscription to Canva. And I'm not knocking Canva. It's actually very easy to use. I do it for thumbnails now, stuff like that. But a little piece inside of me died, because as a pro, I always feel like Canva is like a ripoff and not professional, and I didn't want to touch it. But I do enjoy it. Now, for video, I can't stand it. But for graphics and stuff, it's really, really helpful. But I felt stupid buying another subscription to something when I could technically do everything in Canva in Photoshop, but it just takes a little bit more work. Because in Canva, there's these nice little templates that are easy to adjust. So, but a client wanted it. It was $150. At the end of the day, my client ended up paying for it because of the contract and all that. I was like, okay, if this is what they really want, no problem, we'll do that. Anyway, so that was kind of a hidden cost that I was not expecting to do. So now, E, if you need any Canva stuff, let me know and I'll help you out.
Good. Good.
All right. So you want to talk about like the gaps and the challenges of being a freelancer?
Yeah. Let's go through that quickly. I think, yeah, the gaps and challenges.
I'll tell you my biggest challenge. I feel like it's a dating service where people just ghost you because like
Ah,
I
yeah.
have these great conversations and I'm talking to the marketing manager and she is 100% in and we're going forward and we're doing this. And all I got to do is talk to finance. I'll call you back. It's a done deal. Crickets.
True.
It's gonna
True.
happen. The little voice in my head is like, oh, maybe my price was too high. No, they don't see the value in it. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with your price. It has nothing to do with your services. That person in finance who said no does not see the value in your services, which
Okay.
means they're not a good person, a good fit for you. Move on, find someone who is. It hurts. It hurts bad because you came up with a plan. You had a meeting or two. You pitched them. You knew that they wanted it. You know that it can help them, but yet one other person who's in charge of the money said no. So you know what you do? You crush all your videos, you post them on the platforms that they're looking at, and every time they see your video, they know that they missed out on an opportunity, not you.
I think another one is also to be too pigeonholed in one sport. Because, for example, if you're filming football and that's your thing, like you network, like people in football in your area, and that's what you're filming. Well, like all the games are, on the same Friday night or Saturday or Sunday, whatever. But it's always so you can't really. There's a limit to how many games you can film in a weekend, and then when the season's over, then you have nobody to work for. So you need to sort of be able to film, at least trying to film a couple of sports that those like seasons are not happening simultaneously, so that you can be doing football for a portion of the year and then something else for the rest of the year, and then you just go from one to the other sort of thing. Because that way that helps you manage your entire year and getting a steady income that way.
Yeah, don't get pigeonholed and communicate. Talk to people when you're on these events or playing surfaces or whatever. Network, talk to people because you'll be surprised of the people you can talk to that opens up conversations when you have that camera in your hand. And yes, just because they're a spectator at this sport doesn't mean that they don't have connections at another sport. So, talk to people and network and nurture those networks. So for example, outreach, DMs, emails, personal connections, or people, say if E has a connection that I want to get to, I'll ask E to put me in contact with them, introduce me. There's no harm in that. Just the other day, I was telling E I have this idea for these companies. I reached out to 17 people. Now, I have some relationships with some of these people. Some of them I only met once or twice, but I sent them a personal email. I gave them a scope of my idea, and I left it as, if you want to see more about this idea, and if you think this could value you guys, reach back out and we'll talk. So I sent out 17 emails. I've gotten 8 responses. Now, my goal is to sign 4 or 5 of them out of the 17, which is a pretty high success rate. It's a something that I think it has a lot of value to them, but I'm putting myself out there. And if they don't reach back to me, no big deal. I tried. I can maybe try again later on, but there's no harm in reaching out and trying to go after what you want. So if you want to try a new sport, say, I don't know, you never filmed water polo and there's a great facility near your place, reach out. You don't know. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no. No big deal. Try again. They're going to need the content. If you or show up even on your own and film it and then send it to them and say, "Hey, I want to work with you guys. We could do this." Pitch them an idea that they haven't thought about. Open that door to content packages, to how they can maximize new memberships, stuff like that. It's all stuff they need. It's just they're not always thinking about it.
That's true. No, that's a
Because
good
leave
point.
the rat race, get out of the 9 to 5, go freelance. Okay, it's
Calm
fun.
down,
It's
Gary
fun
V.
having sleepless nights, telling clients like, "Hey, did you send that check yet?"
Exactly.
No, and one more piece of advice that honestly that changed my company is it's like McDonald's. Okay, I go to the cash, I want a Big Mac trio. I pay for my Big Mac trio, then I get it. Try and do that with your services too. I offer discounts to pay in full in front. If not, I word it as to kick off the investment, to kick off the project. This is going to be the investment. So they have to put some skin in the game right away. And this way they are involved. They paid. They will help you as any way they can. Where instead, if you just have an agreement and it's, oh, pay me after the video is done, well, you're going to have multiple revisions. You're going to be working your ass off to get that money. If they pay you in front, it's less stress on you. You'll do a better job. You're not chasing them for money. So try and get those payments up front as much as possible.
Jeez. I feel like I'm talking to Alec Baldwin in what's that movie? ABC. Always be closing.
I don't always close, okay? There's lots of people where I'm like, hello? It's Lance. Remember the guy that you were buying a video package of? Like, it happens. It's all part of it. And I'm telling you, I used to take it like to heart. I used to be like, if I saw someone that I pitched them a great video and then they did something later on and they put up the shitty video, I was like, why didn't they hire me? But now I don't care. I'm like, forget it, man. You didn't want me? Well, I'm too good for you now. Forget it. We'll talk again later. Let me get over it, and then you'll come back. You'll come back to me.
All right. So the last question before I ditch you. No, I'll put you on the spot once more because I like to do it. I like to see the look on your face where you're not too sure what you're gonna say.
Yeah. Like, damn it.
Yeah. What would be your advice for someone who has a full-time job in something completely different? They're doing sports videography it started as a hobby, became a side hustle. They would love for it to become their full-time thing. But, as a side hustle, it's obviously not making as much money as their full-time thing. And they're now thinking like, obviously if I was treating it as my full-time job, I would probably be able to do more of it, make more money, but I'm scared because I would spend at least a year making less money than I'm making now at my full-time job. So like someone that's stuck in that situation that is terrified of making the leap, even though it is what they want, but they do have bills and things like that. Like, what would be your advice for someone like that?
It's like having a child. Okay. You're never ready. You're never ready. There's always going to be something that comes in the way that makes you feel like you're not ready. So my suggestion is, listen, if you already are enjoying it and you're really on the verge of leaving that full-time job, obviously save up money and get all that ready, but simplify the process. Okay. I'm big on systems. So instead of hustling, make systems, onboarding process, clear pricing, follow-up emails, CRM tools if you need to. Treat it like a business, scheduling, contracts, all that stuff that makes it real. Because that is what's going to help you define yourself from, is this a side hustle or is this a business? Now, it's not easy to get all that. But now, like when I started, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll do that project. And I'll charge you $1,500 for it. And you get that. And you're like, okay, where's the next one? Where's the next one? But if you have a system and you're like, listen, I block time, I reach out to 5-6 people a week with cold DMs or calls or LinkedIn messages or whatever, or through networking, I know that I'm going to land one of those clients, let's say, okay? Every 2 weeks, I'm going to land a new client. So then I know I have new income coming in. I pitch them a proper content package. I have 3 packages. Usually there's one in there for them. If not, we'll make one for them. Then if I go to the next thing, we set up a contract, which locks them in, and payment upfront or partial payment. So then I'm not chasing. So right away, it's made that process easier. I have a funnel, or I have clients coming in, or warm leads, as you say. I have warm leads. I have a system, which is a content package that works, that gives them some value. And then I have a contract that makes it all legal. And then I get payment. Once I get payment, we start working on the projects. It's simple that way. But you have to have systems, because if you're just trying and calling people and trying to get into this school and trying to get in that, then no. That's how you're going to stand out. Show them you're professional. But going from the full-time job to the freelance job, that happens here. It happens right in between your head. It's when are you ready to go from steady to unsteady? And Yeah, there's a big quote, but it's true. Like you did it too, E. Like, let me ask you a question. I know, like, people don't understand what you went through. Like, you had a nice, cushy job next to sharing an office with this amazing guy. And no, and you got up and you just changed your life, okay? And you went to another country and you didn't have a job lined up. You didn't have anything ready to go. There's no difference of doing that than doing freelance. It's scary as shit, but you did it. And it was worth it, no?
Did it for love. So it's
I know that's
the
the real
difference.
answer.
Yeah.
No, but anything that's worth doing is scary, right? And
Yeah.
it was worth it. You would never have launched a YouTube channel. You would never have started your own business if you know, you had a cushy job. You could have stayed there.
Yeah, but like I say, I laugh, but it's true. That's why I did it. Like I met a girl, and that's ultimately that was the decision. So it wasn't really about the work, but yeah, I was once I was there, I started doing all these other things, which I would probably have never done if I'd never moved to Australia. I don't think Beyond the Game would exist right now if I'd never gone there. So yeah, everything happens for a reason, I guess. But yeah, I think like if you want something, like life is short, and the whole at the end of the day, like you want to be happy. So if you feel like you're not happy at your current job, and this new thing is really getting you excited and is really motivating you to show up to work and to edit and to film, and you actually enjoy the process and you're having fun working and you're not doing any, that's a big moment for me. Like if I'm looking at the time, like just waiting for my next break or my next lunch or the 5 p.m., if I'm doing this, then I'm not happy. Like, so if I'm actually doing the opposite, I'm like, fuck, it's already 2. Like I've got so much I wanted to do today and I didn't have time to do everything. Like that's a good sign. That means like you're enjoying yourself. You're actually like invested in what you're doing. So if that's the case, then you have your answer. You know what you want. Now you just have to figure out a way to get there. So maybe you do have to suck it up for a year or two, keeping the day job while saving a bit of money and building the business in a way that you described just before. And yeah, working on that process. Like when I came back here from Australia, I knew that I wanted to, because I had a full-time job, plus I was doing YouTube on the side. And I knew that I wanted to come here and basically reverse it, where the full-time job would be YouTube and I would be doing some sports videography contracts on the side. So I built that up before I left. I built the YouTube side. I mean, like, so I that's when I started revamping my website. Changed my logo, everything, made it more, more me, like build the brand, and also started selling visual effects and sound effects and LUTs and doing all these things that would guarantee me. Not, there's no guarantee. Like tomorrow, maybe I'm not selling anything, but that would give me somewhat of a steady income. And so I had to promote these things and build the website and do all that sort of stuff. So while having my job still. So that's the thing. You can still have a job, but instead of just doing, like you said, just doing contracts for the sake of doing contracts, build a business so that when you do make that transition, that business is already moving forward. It's already built. It's already sort of at a place where it can give you like a steady income. So maybe it's not going to be the same steady income that you had before, depending on the job you had, but it's going to be something that's steady enough and high enough that you can, you're not living in the streets and you can enjoy what you're doing, build on that, and get to where you want to go.
I'm telling you, the most freeing thing I ever did was when I stopped trading time for an hourly rate. Because life is short. Life is short. So do the things you enjoy. It's going to be scary, but trust me, it's worth it. So listen, any of our listeners out there that have any questions, please DM us. We'll do our best to answer them, because there will be some roadblocks along the way. There will be some challenges along the way. But if it's something you really want, you'll figure out a way to make it work.
True that.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare. See ya.